Okay, at this time, I'm going to call the regular council meeting to order. It is, let's see, it is,
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock.
what, 8 o'clock?
10:56.
Twinsburg Government Center. Tuesday, June 26th. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Here.
Mr. Steele?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Ms. McFerrin?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Please rise and join us for the invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Mr. Barr.
Thank you. We ask for guidance and direction in all city matters before us tonight. We give thanks to be able to be together. Let us continue to strive to make our community a better place. Help us to work together, and may we always give our best. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seeking approval of the minutes from, approval of minutes from June 12th. Any changes? Okay, the minutes will stand as written. There are no awards and presentations tonight. Any audience participation?
Yes, first we have Bob Hughes.
Good evening, council and mayor. Bob Thews, 2229 Demi Drive in the Meadowwood project areas. And I'd like to speak to you tonight about maybe a little different change than I normally do. As you people know, over the years I've come in front of you and had more than my share of complaints, okay? But today I'd actually like to compliment a member of council. In Ward 5, we've had 8 years without a councilman. Okay, yeah. He was here. He showed up here, and he was elected, and but he wasn't accessible to any of us. We could email him, we could text him, we could phone call him. He didn't exist, or we didn't exist. Let's say, not he didn't. About a month ago, and I brought it up at a meeting, that we had an issue with Glen Willow, what they were doing next to our plan. Well, I had a chance to contact Greg Bellin, and he had answers for us within about an hour, okay, of what their plans were and what they were going to do. And that's what I call serving your constituents. That's what a council person is supposed to be good at. So first of all, I thank you, Mr. Bellin.
Thank you.
Secondly, I did note, and I'm going to comment on it anyway, about your 1/4% wage tax. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I did get through engineering school, so I know a little bit about math. According to what the paper said, and that's what I'm going by, the paper said that this 1/4% would generate over a period of time about $3.3 million in additional income, and it's pretty clear from the numbers that you've been that over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been spending $4 to $5 million a year. So the numbers don't work out, okay, from that standpoint. Secondly, in 2013-14, when the last one was abolished, the number of people in the city working for the city is a lot smaller than it is now, and the number's going up. So there's, I agree with the discussion that was earlier at the caucus. It's time to I mean, there's a shortfall. Something has to be reconsidered, but the 1/4% is just going to be pain and agony when you have to go back in another year or two to everybody and say, okay, we either have to raise your property tax or we have to raise your wage tax, one or the other. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any other?
Yes, we have Rob Benjamin.
Rob Benjamin with Heritage Development. I had asked for a reconsideration for rezoning from C2 to R5 at 1816 East Aurora Road. It was 65-2018. Though we had some very interesting banter earlier, I would just like to say that I do believe in my mind that this parcel still is best to go residential at this stage of the game, because we have tried industrial, we have tried commercial, and I think residential would be the best use at this point. I'm going to step back from it though, and I'm going to work with the city in terms of with Larry, Amy, the mayor, and try to come up with something that does work. But I can tell you if it doesn't, I'm going to be back, because we can see what other opportunities there might be at this point. But you know, I really would have appreciated just a little bit more understanding of why it wasn't passed along to the voters when it is a referendum city. And that was my concern. If the city was dead against it and wasn't interested at all, I just wish that would have been, I was made aware of that in the initial stages so we didn't move too far ahead of this. But as I told you earlier, back in 2015, I was asked to take it off the agenda and take it off the request for rezoning and to come back down the road if we didn't get any possibilities for sale or development on that parcel. So I'm just doing what I was told to do, and that's what I was trying. So I understand I'm not gonna fight, and I'm not gonna try to win an uphill battle. But at this point, I do want to say that I still believe it's the best, and whether it's May or next November, if we don't have something that works, I will try that again. So I do appreciate your time, but again, I know that this is referendum. I'm not asking for a new zoning classification. I haven't asked for anything that's not in your code. I'm asking for something that is there as part of this rezoning. So just understand that I'm not trying to create something that doesn't exist, that you do have this zoning, and that's, I think, what a referendum city is all about, is to give the voters the opportunity to vote. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other?
There is none.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll move on to council communication and committee reports. Mr. Fury?
Thank you. On June 19th, I attended a CIC meeting. Items for discussion at that time were some asbestos removal from the lane properties that the CIC has purchased on Route 82. And we had a discussion with a resident on what the future of downtown development is, and we're continuing to work towards putting the best foot forward to revitalizing our downtown area. Next meeting is July 17th at 5:30 in the jury room. I also attended the Community Relations Board meeting on June 21st, excuse me, and that's when you get the township, Reminderville, the school system, and the library with the Chamber of Commerce together and talk about what's going on in the community as we can share information. So I did the report on the city. A couple interesting things that came up from the library is they're having a Living History Day on Saturday, June 30th, where there'll be a Civil War reenactment, really hands-on presentations. It starts at 10 a.m., runs all day. They're going to have a President Lincoln, probably not the real one, but a President Lincoln, give his second inaugural address. But they're very excited about this. There's, again, a Civil War reenactment will be taking place nearby, and they think it's a great way to show living history to our students. There is also a program in conjunction with the Rotary called Adopt a Duck, and this is benefiting the Interact Club of Twinsburg. And you can get information on the library website as well as the Rotary website, and you basically sponsor a little rubber duck to float down Tinker's Creek a certain amount of time. You need not be present. There's prize money for the first 4 places, and it's just $5 a duck, or 5 ducks for $20. But it's for a very worthy cause, and Laura Leonard is very adamant that we support this, and I'm sure Shannon Collins, who's also a Rotary member, is pushing it as well. The next meeting for the Community Relations Board will be September 27th, and it'll be held at the Board of Education offices at 5 p.m. Lastly, there was several discussions of rezoning prior to this meeting, but in particular, Mr. Manis had a piece of property under Ordinance 64, 2018 that was denied access to the ballot. And I think there was, in my case, I will tell you that there was some misunderstanding with some of the comments that the residents made that had concerns. And I think those have all been ironed out, and it's now shown that there is a parcel of residential that will be a buffer for any construction of commercial there. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider Ordinance 64, 2018. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Scafidi. Again, this is 9101 Ravenna Road. They're asking to take a C3 and rezone it, or put it on the ballot to be rezoned to C2. And the parcel is in the center, and there'll be another R3 residential lot that will still abut the current property and this. So, again, now this is much more clear to me, and I'm in support of this. So, is there any other discussion?
I think we have,
Mr. Fuhrer, I believe it's a residential lot going to a commercial lot.
I said R3 to C2?
You said C3.
I apologize.
Just so we're
It's
clear.
R3 to C2. That's what I wrote. I just didn't read it correctly.
With the,
I have contacts on.
the other lot there will stay as R3.
It's not part of this, correct?
Right, but it, yeah, okay.
okay, we
Okay.
have the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Scafidi.
Shannon, will you call the roll?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi,
Yes.
Mr. Steele,
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin,
Yes.
Mr. Barr,
Yes.
Mr. Bellin,
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer.
Yes.
Thank you. So that will put the rezoning on the ballot in the fall for the property at 9101 Ravenna Road. Thank you, sir. One last thing I forgot.
Mr. Fuhrer, before you go on, not quite. That puts it back on for reconsideration. You guys would still need to vote on that, on
Okay.
64.
Okay, so.
That was the motion for
Reconsider.
reconsideration.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt, or do I have to wait till the agenda for that?
Well, I mean, I think it's probably more appropriate to wait till we do the legislation, but.
Fine.
Thank
Do
you.
I have to make a motion to add it to the agenda, or did we just do that?
You just did that.
Thank you very much. Okay. Don't do a lot of motions to reconsider. I should have asked you before we started.
So that'll be on the
Be on
next
this meeting
meeting,
or next
correct?
meeting?
Tonight.
No,
Tonight.
we can
We'll be able to
vote
do
on
that tonight.
Shortly. Yeah.
We're on, it's ordinance 64.
Okay.
Yeah.
One last thing. This is a drug deactivation kit. And the purpose of this is that you have any opioids or prescription drugs in your house, and instead of putting them down your sink or your toilet, which can pollute our water supply, the library is passing this out in conjunction with the Summit County Partnership, so that all you have to do is open the kit, put the drugs into the charcoal, smash it up, and you can throw it in the garbage. It deactivates the drugs, and they're available at the library. So, a way to get rid of your prescription drugs that you no longer need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Mr. Steele.
Hold on here. ARB met on the 21st. There's 3 items on the agenda. One was Zoom Express Car Wash, which is going in 91, or wants to go in 91 just south of the clinic. The ARB asked them to do some work on the design and some of the colors and things on the building, and they decided, they left and said they would do that and come back with a new design for the next meeting, or possibly a new design. They approved adding a front porch and a 3rd bay garage to a house owned by Mark Blaha up on Creighton Road. It's going to be a neat addition in your ward. And the last one was 4 signs for the golf course, which they approved also. And that's it. And none of my other committees have met.
Thank you. Mr. Scafidi.
Thank you. Good evening. The Finance Committee committee met earlier this evening. A few things that were on the agenda were, first thing was the preliminary menu for the Aaron and Moses restaurant that'll be up in the Glen Eagles Golf Clubhouse. And at first glance, it looks like a very good menu. I think that there'll be something on there for everyone, that to everyone's taste and to their liking. I had an opportunity to try some of their sampling at the Taste of Twinsburg, and what I had that day was very good. And so I think it's going to be really a nice addition to our community and a nice new restaurant in our city. So look forward to seeing the final menu as it progresses, and look forward to the opening of that restaurant sometime in September. Correct, Mayor? Okay. The next item we had was there's a legislation that the finance director presented to us that would give us the opportunity to reimburse our general fund from various projects if we so choose to. We would have this legislation, this would be in place and on our books, and just for instance, sometimes we amend the budgets for the general fund, and we take from there to support various projects. And this legislation would give us the opportunity to either bond those monies long-term and pay our general fund back. I believe it would be either capital projects or non-capital projects. Is that correct, Sarah? If I'm saying this wrong, you tell me, but...
I think the intent is the capital projects.
Capital projects? Okay.
Yeah.
So for capital projects, the Finance Committee thought that it was a good idea, and all those council people that were present. So she asked if we could add that to the agenda for the next meeting, first meeting in July on an emergency, so we would have it in place. And again, it's not mandatory that we do that, but it's there in case we need to do it or feel that we want to do it. So I think that'll be a good addition to our finances. Also an update on the budget process Sarah gave us. She's got a few changes that she wants to make, put into place. One, for instance, is the way the department's budget for the next coming year, and she's got her own form that she showed us and how they're going to wind up budgeting for their departments, right? What else? There was one other change.
I think that was it.
That was the only one? Okay. So that was the only change. One thing we did discuss there briefly was the 1/4% income tax increase legislation. I believe that's 74/2018. That's on the agenda tonight on second reading. There was a discussion on that, and I know that the Finance Committee joined together and felt that we would like to remove that from the agenda. It came upon us kind of suddenly, and we think that we need to really have some more conversation and more discussion on that. Not to say that there's not a need or that there'll never be a need, but for the time being, we just feel that it's probably not a good timing, and we need more detailed discussion. We've had some discussion on it, but it needs to be discussed further. So at this time, it's our recommendation that we go ahead and make the motion to remove that from the agenda and revisit it at a later date after we've had an opportunity to discuss it much more. So at this time, I would like to make a motion to take 74/2018 from the table. Is there a second?
I'll second Mr. Scaffidi's motion.
Okay. Council, any discussion? Mayor, anyone?
No, I just want to say that I also support this. I know there was discussions regarding where we've been talking about where the city has been financially over the last number of years. Again, this was something that I'm kind of glad got out in the open. It's been talked about kind of behind closed doors, so to speak. But we are going to be in a situation where we eat up about $3 to $4 million in reserves, which if you connect that to our 1/4% that we repealed back in 2014, it's something that we just need to look at. And I think, again, we need to spend some time, both council, myself, our finance director, getting information out to our residents. One of the things that we do have here is we have a host of amenities and services that our city provides for free. We do not align with really any other community that does the things that we do. And if it's not a 1/4%, we may need to take some look at some of those services that we provide. You know, we also have, none of our general fund is supported by any millage, any property tax. And that's one thing that I think I personally would like to stay away from, because that really impacts every single household in Twinsburg. You know, whereas an income tax affects probably 50% of our residents versus 100% of our residents. So I think the longer discussion that we need to have and start planning this, but again, when it happened before, there was a lot that went on kind of behind the scenes and in the public. And so I think working together with council, with our finance director, and then really with the residents, educating the residents on, you know, where we align with other communities when it comes to the services we provide, what's being charged. And again, you know, our goal is to continue to maintain all those, again, and hopefully without doing it without too much millage from a property tax standpoint. But again, I just want to say that I do support pulling that off, but I'm also glad that we're going to start that dialogue.
Okay. Anybody else? Shannon, would you call the roll?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That ends the finance report. Now, the Board of Zoning Appeals. The Board of Zoning Appeals met on June 13th. There were 3 appeals before the board. Appeal number 7, 2018 was a restaurant located at East Aurora Road. They were looking for a parking lot setback variance. Specifically, a 9-foot variance is what they were looking for, and the Board of Zoning Appeals voted and approved that 4-0. Appeal number 8, 2018 was from Zoom Express Investments, looking to put a car wash on Darrow Road, and specifically they're looking for an 8-foot variance is requested for a side yard driveway setback. And once again, after discussion, that was approved 4-0 by the Board of Zoning Appeals. The next one was appeal number 9, 2018, which was a Waldo Way resident looking for proposing a driveway expansion of 8 feet, and more specifically, a 3-foot setback variance was requested. And again, the Board of Zoning Appeals reviewed that and approved that 4-0. So at this time, if it's proper, I would like to make one motion to waive the 30-day wait on appeal number 7, appeal number 8, and appeal number 9. Can I do all 3 at one time?
As long as there's no objection to any
To any
individual
of them,
council
right.
members.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second. Anybody have any discussion or any question on any of the appeals? Okay, Shannon?
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Finally, I have one more item that I wanted to discuss, and that's the construction going on in Ward 1. It's been a long time coming. I've had 4 streets in Ward 1 that really, to finalize all of our road work that needed to be done there, the major road work. And currently in progress is Ridgewood Drive, Serene, and Belfair. Ridgewood Drive has its, Serene has its base coat already down. There's been some base repair, there's been curb repair, sewer repair, and same thing with Ridgewood and Belfair. And those other 2 streets will get their base coat and then their final coat of asphalt, and those 3 streets will be taken care of. Next, the letter, I believe, went out today for Briardale. Briardale's another street that has been a long time coming, and that's the same type of project. They'll be doing curb repair, they'll be doing base repair, they'll be doing sewer repair, storm sewer repair, and then they'll be putting down a new asphalt. So that one will be coming. Again, the letter went out to the residents today, so I hope that, it seems like I've had no complaints, and I know usually there's some delays or some concerns when there's construction going on, but it seems like everybody's waited so long for this that I think they're all glad to see it happening, and so they're all satisfied. And if not, I'm sure I would hear from them, or if not, they're free to call me, and I'd love to hear from them. So that's the construction update. One last thing is Ravenna Road. There's been a lot of concern of Ravenna Road between Bell Meadow or Chamberlain and to Idlewood, where the new project's going to start this year on Ravenna Road is going to be replaced from Idlewood all the way down to Richner. So there's still that stretch there that hasn't been done yet, and it's not scheduled to be done yet. The engineer, Amy, is still applying for funding for that. So I had talked with the Public Works Director at the last council meeting and asked if he can do some major repair. It's not a terrible stretch of road, but there's no holes, but it is quite bumpy. It's a little bit of a challenge. So he's been out there today, and they started doing some grinding and some paving, and so there'll be some nice patchwork done there that's going to really extend the life of that road and I think make things, everybody's ride a little bit smoother. So thank you to Chris and the service department for the work that they're doing and going to continue to do over there. And other than that, that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Planning Commission met on June 18th. At that time, they approved the conditional use permit for an outdoor dining that we've talked about tonight. Also, they approved the final site plan for the Zoom car wash with the condition of approval by the Summit Soil, Water, and Conservation District. So that's where I got that from earlier. The next meeting will be on July 9th. The Planning Commission will meet then. And there will be a Safety Committee meeting on July 10th before council. And that's all the committees that met. Ms. McFerrin?
Well, thank you, Mr. Fury, for the updates on the CIC and the Community Relations meeting. Parks and Rec is going to be this Thursday here at 6:30. The next safety meeting will be July 10th. Stoffer said when the next finance is. And then the Friends of Twinsburg Parks met on last week, and their next meeting is July 16th at 7:30 at rush hour. Right now, they have a total of 40 members, and they're looking for members to join and members to participate. And one project that's been discussed that would like to see happen is a splash pad over at Liberty Park. So if anyone has interest in any of those activities. But the Friends of the Twinsburg Park, again, meeting July 16th.
Great, thank you. Mr. Bellin?
Good evening. I attended this evening's Finance Committee meeting. Just one thing to add there, there is going to be a children's menu at Aaron and Moses as well. So, the next Golf Advisory Board meeting will be Tuesday, July 17th, right here in Council Chambers. The construction on Joanne Lila Place and Terrace Drive continues. I believe the Terrace Drive work is going to be done in the next week or so here, and then the overall project will be done late August. So please drive slowly and carefully. I wanted to thank Chris Campbell. I had a concerned resident reach out to me about the light at the corner of Darrow and McTarian. It was malfunctioning kind of in the middle of the night, 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And he had that addressed, and so I just wanted to thank him publicly for that. This Saturday, the Twinsburg Competitive Aquatics Club, or TCAT, will be competing at the Rush Hour Grill at their celebrity bartendering event. TCAT supports over 100 swimmers here in the city of Twinsburg. So if you want to come out and support TCAT and Rush Hour, there will be there's plenty of raffles to go around. They have water park passes, among other things. That's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barr?
Last but not least, to all my colleagues who went before me, thank you, made my job easy here. I attended the Finance Committee meeting this evening, and Mr. Scafidi did a very eloquent job of surmising kind of what we discussed. One of the things I think is very important to point out is that our Finance Director, Sarah Butchie-Gross, has done, I feel, a very difficult task of bringing all of these issues to council in a very transparent and straightforward way. And I know that's the job, but it's not always fun to be the bearer of bad news. Not that the news is all that dire, but I think that it did help to kickstart a discussion, as the mayor said, about some of the ways for us to generate some revenue in the years going forward. And I also agree with Ms. Stauffer and Mr. Scafidi and my colleagues on that committee that now is just not the time for us to burden the residents anymore with any additional income taxes. So the next meeting for that is, for the Finance Committee, is going to be on the 28th of August, and it will be before council here at 6 p.m. Mr. Fury and I attended the CIC meeting. He summed that up for you. Just a reminder, the next meeting for the CIC will be here July 17th, which is a Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. in the jury room. The Environmental Commission, we're on summer break still. Mr. Bonacci's in the back. Do you know what community shredding is, sir? The chair of the Environmental Commission.
I would expect nothing less.
While he's looking that up, I will point out that our next meeting is September 4th, which is a Tuesday at 7 p.m. It will be here in council chambers. Safety Committee is before the next council meeting, which will be July 10th at 6 p.m.
Yes.
And I believe that's all I had. Like I said, you folks did a wonderful job making things easy for me this evening, so I thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Oh, Mr. Scafidi has one more.
Thank you.
thing.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this during my report. And just on a lighter note, I did want to wish my colleague, Councilman Scott Barr, happy birthday today, and also our mayor and his wife Sharon, happy 25th anniversary today. So
There you
to
go.
both of you,
All right.
congratulations.
Thank you.
You want to sing?
Okay, I'll lead it if you like.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday
I don't know that his face could turn any redder.
I think this only happens with the pressure
dear
that Scott's
Scott.
under.
Happy birthday to you. He's stroking out.
Yeah. Revenge is a dish best served cold, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, we are going to move on to the mayor's report.
All
Mayor.
right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, a couple of things just to talk about. I missed last meeting. I was out of town with my wife for our 25th wedding anniversary. But just an update on the clubhouse. I mean, things are moving rapidly over there. We're really pushing for a date beginning of August. A lot of stuff's happening. All the lights are in, flooring's going in, patio's done, landscaping's going in. It looks beautiful on the outside if you haven't been by there. We did present at Finance a preliminary menu, so I apologize, Mr. Bonacci. I was giving you a first little look or taste, should I say, of what's going to be on our menu. We will be rolling that out. We've got meetings coming up this week to finalize that and get, while it's close to being done, we want to make sure it's finalized and gets put out to the public the way that our marketing guy has proposed it. So, anyway, so the menu, I think, is going to be something, again, that attracts a lot of different people there. We'll have a kids menu. We'll be family friendly. And hopefully just the whole vibe of the restaurant everyone's going to really enjoy. I think the residents are going to be blown away when they walk through it the first time. We are going to try to set up an open house probably toward the end of September, and so we'll come back with some dates on that once we finally get the keys and get things open up. Next, a couple things going on. We have, so this year's the 10th year of our loss of Officer Josh McTarian, and so their golf outing is Friday, July 6th. There may still be opportunity to be part of that outing if you get in touch with our police department. But again, that does a great job of raising money, again, for Josh's children who are, or child growing up. So I would encourage you to participate in that if you can. Still on a police note, we've been working on planning our National Night Out, which is going to be August 7th. It's a Tuesday night. This is a national community police event that happens around the country. We've had great turnout the last couple of years, so I encourage all of council and all our residents to come by and participate. It's a really fun event, and we get participation from Sheriff's Department, Reminderville Police, SWAT team, BCI, Army Reserve, so there's lots of vehicles and different things for the kids to do. So I encourage you to come out to that. A couple of things we have going on at Rock the Park. So this week we have Trippin' Billy's, which is a Dave Matthews tribute band. That'll be this Friday night. And then, of course, on July 3rd, we have the Cleveland Pops Orchestra. And I know there's tickets available for both of those still. The Cleveland Pops Orchestra is just a great event. We usually sell that out, so I encourage you, if you haven't got your tickets, to go ahead and get those. July 14th will be our next market on the square. I was gone, but I heard Taste of Twinsburg, and the market was a really good event, well attended. It was a nice combination of both food and crafts. So on July 14th, we have the market coming back, probably more at its normal time, which I think is probably more of that 9 to 3 time zone versus when they coordinated it with Taste of Twinsburg last time. I just want to mention, I received an email from a resident that has lived in Twinsburg a long time that has a son who is a Army veteran, and he's a younger kid, and he has been diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And I know the family's really struggling to provide. They've sold a lot of the stuff that they own, trying to just maintain and help him. He's employed, but his benefits really haven't kicked in, so it's really all out of pocket. They're working with the VA, but they did set up a GoFundMe account. If you look up the name Chris Roos, R-O-O-S-Z, on GoFundMe, you can contribute if you'd like to for that. But I been communicating with the mom and told her we'd try to do what we could to get the word out about that. And then lastly, I just also want to wish Mr. Barr a happy birthday. He's getting up into his 40s now, so he's speaking very eloquently here at council. And then just wish my wife formally on high-def cameras happy 25th wedding anniversary. I wish I could be with you tonight, but she understands the role I play here. So hopefully this meeting doesn't last too long, and I'll be able to at least say goodnight to her. So, all right, that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Are there any department head reports? Anybody want to? We
No,
good?
we don't have any.
Okay. We're
except
going to move.
for- Well,
Sarah,
Sarah's
do you have
always,
something you'd like to
Sarah's
share?
always willing to
Yeah.
throw numbers at you.
Yes.
So our June 2018 income tax receipts were just a little over 1.8 million. Compared to June of last year, that's a decrease of 25%. We did have that increase last month though, so it's timing. We are still up for the year 5.69%, which is $662,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Any others? So that's it. Now we're going to move on to legislation. We have ordinance 61, 2018.
Mrs. Stoffer, can we start with the reconsideration of 64?
Sure.
And then go in?
Yeah, sure. All right, so let's begin with ordinance 64, 2018.
An ordinance rezoning certain property located at 9101 Ravenna Road, Twinsburg, Ohio, from R3 residential use to C2 commercial use.
That would be its first reading?
No.
No?
No.
No? That was been the third, I apologize. I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 64, 2018. Is there a second?
Second.
Yield.
Okay, I made the motion, it was seconded by Mr. Bellin. Any further discussion?
We discussed this earlier in the evening. I think that there was some miscommunication, some misunderstanding about the rezoning from R3 to C2, and has a buffer, and I'm in favor of supporting this at this time.
Thank you.
And this is allow it to go to the ballot for the rezoning.
Right. Thank you. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Ordinance 64, 2018 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 61, 2018.
An ordinance amending section 147.38 of the codified ordinances of the city of Twinsburg regarding employees generally.
This is a third and final reading, so I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 61, 2018. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I made the motion, it was seconded by Mr. Barr. This is putting language into our ordinance that just prohibits family members from being employed in the same department. Is that correct?
With the exception
With the
of-
exception of our seasonal help.
Yeah, I mean, we run into this situation with our seasonal help where we have a lot of very qualified and good, in our Parks and Rec department, we're looking at camp counselors and lifeguards. whether they're working at the Berg or at the concession stands and those kind of things. And I mean, typically we avoid trying to have family members work in the same department. That's kind of a policy we've had. However, it's created issues in Parks and Rec. So this carves out Parks and Rec and allows, seasonal part-time employees to, if we have could be a brother and a sister working as camp counselors, or one working at the pool as a lifeguard and one working as a camp counselor, those kind of things.
Right. Any further discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance 61, 2018 passes by 7-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 67, 2018.
An ordinance approving the recodification, editing, and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of Twinsburg, Ohio.
Okay, this is the third and final reading, so I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 67, 2018. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Scafidi. This is just cleaning up the codified ordinances. Any other discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ordinance 67, 2018 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 68, 2018.
An ordinance adopting the tax budget of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2019, and submitting the same to the county auditor.
This is a third and final reading, so I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 68, 2018. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Steele. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance 68, 2018 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 73, 2018.
An ordinance amending Section 911 of the codified ordinances of the City of Twinsburg to provide for adjustment of the charge for quarterly rates of the Twinsburg sanitary sewer system.
Okay, that's the second reading. Next, we have ordinance 75, 2018.
An ordinance requesting and authorizing the Summit County Board of Elections to place upon the City of Twinsburg ballot at the general election of November 6, 2018, certain proposed amendments to Article 3 of the Charter of the City of Twinsburg regarding the council.
That is on its second reading also. Ordinance 76, 2018.
An ordinance requesting and authorizing the Summit County Board of Elections to place upon the City of Twinsburg ballot at the general election of November 6, 2018, certain proposed amendments to Article 4 of the Charter of the City of Twinsburg regarding the mayor.
Okay, also on its second reading. Next, we have ordinance 77, 2018.
An ordinance requesting and authorizing the Summit County Board of Elections to place upon the City of Twinsburg ballot at the general election of November 6, 2018, certain proposed amendments to Section 6.02 of the Charter of the City of Twinsburg regarding salaries and bonds.
Also on its second reading. Next, ordinance 78, 2018.
An ordinance requesting and authorizing the Summit County Board of Elections to place upon the City of Twinsburg ballot at the general election of November 6, 2018, certain proposed amendments to Article 7 of the Charter of the City of Twinsburg regarding administrative departments, commissions, and boards.
Also on its second reading. Next, we have ordinance 79, 2018.
An ordinance requesting and authorizing the Summit County Board of Elections to place upon the City of Twinsburg ballot at the general election of November 6, 2018, certain proposed amendments to Article 8 of the Charter of the City of Twinsburg regarding nominations, elections, and qualifications.
Also on its second reading. Next, we have ordinance 80, 2018.
An ordinance requesting and authorizing the Summit County Board of Elections to place upon the City of Twinsburg ballot at the general election of November 6, 2018, certain proposed amendments to Article 9 of the Charter of the City of Twinsburg regarding initiative, referendum, and recall.
Second reading. And finally, we have ordinance 81, 2018.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in Ordinance 101, 2017, the appropriation ordinance of the City of Twinsburg for the year 2018.
That stands on, that's its second reading also. Now we have resolution 82, 2018.
A resolution authorizing the city engineer to approve plans submitted by the Blue Jay Farm subdivision located in Twinsburg Township to tie into the city sewer system.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 82, 2018. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Fury. This resolution allows Blue Jay Farm subdivision to tie into the city sewer system. It's Pulte Homes. There's going to be about 23 lots, and I think that's, anything else you want to add on to that? We get $10,000 tap-in fee per home. Any other discussion on that? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Resolution 82, 2018 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have Resolution 83, 2018.
A resolution acknowledging council's receipt and review of the monthly financial statements submitted by the Finance Department for October, November, and December 2017 and January, February, and March 2018.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 83, 2018. Is there a second?
No, second.
80, oh yeah, I apologize. 83 is second. I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Fury. This is simply acknowledging that council receives the monthly financial statement. Any other discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Resolution 83, 2018 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 84, 2018.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the various general revenue accounts as established in Ordinance 101, 2017, the appropriation ordinance for the City of Twinsburg for the year 2018, and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 84, 2018, place it on its third and final reading, and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yield.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Fury. The reason for the emergency is to provide the necessary subsidy to the golf course fund and balance out the books. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 84, 2018. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Ms. McFerrin. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ordinance 84, 2018 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 85, 2018.
An ordinance accepting a quote from Summit Sound and Security Ltd. to provide equipment and installation of audio, visual, voice, and data lines at the Glen Eagles Clubhouse project and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 85, 2018, place it on its third and final reading, and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Bellin. Any discussion?
The reason, go ahead.
I was going to say, the reason for this emergency is that we are at the very tail end of this project. We've run into a situation with a disagreement in a lot of the work that's part of this proposal in terms of who is going to be providing it and installing it with our general contractor. The work it needs to be done as soon as possible, or it's just going to end up dramatically costing more to try to do it at a later date. But this is all the audio visual as well as our our cabling for our phone systems and our point of sale systems and everything that will make the place electronically functional, servers, everything that we need to put in. So I'd ask council to support this. We have a vendor that's given us an all-inclusive quote that we're comfortable with. We've met with on numerous occasions, and we've done all we can to try to bid this out as much as we can to different vendors, and we're asking to move forward with this one tonight.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 85, 2018. Is there a second?
Second.
I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Bellin. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ordinance 85, 2018 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have Resolution 86, 2018.
A resolution authorizing a conditional use permit for an outdoor dining area to Trip LLC for parcel number 6408386 located at East Aurora Road and I-480, Twinsburg, Ohio, as recommended by the Planning Commission after public hearing on June 18, 2018.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 86, 2018. Is there a second?
A second.
I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Fury. This is a conditional use permit for this new restaurant that did go through Planning Commission. Any discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Resolution 86, 2018 passes by a 7-0 vote. That concludes the legislation. Now we'll move on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. Barr.
Thank you very much for the birthday wishes and the song. It's thus far the
We rarely sing.
highlight of the day. The Twinsburg Community Theater will be selling raffle tickets at Rock the Park at the Trip and Billy Show this coming Friday. So I'll be out there selling 50-50 raffle. It promises to be a great show. The weather looks awesome. So you come and support the community theater and maybe win some money and definitely enjoy some good music and some good food. And I just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July and a safe 4th of July. Remember that we do have an ordinance against fireworks in the city of Twinsburg. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. Mr. Bellin.
Thank you. I want to thank Twinsburg Baseball League for an outstanding regular season. I know their playoffs are going on right now. The fields are always in impeccable condition. It makes for an outstanding experience for our youngsters, and I just really do appreciate it. I want to thank Mr. Thews for the kind words earlier. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Happy birthday to Mr. Barr.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary to Mr. Yates. And happy and safe Independence Day to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McFerrin.
Well, I just wanted to add that while there's 3 members of council that are on the finance committee, that we've all been attending all the meetings because we do understand the pressures of the budget and our concerns of the residents. And I just think that people should be aware that we're all actively involved in the meetings and welcome any input at any time. And of course, you're always invited to any of the meetings. And happy birthday, Mr. Barr, happy anniversary. And to Mary Yates and Sharon, and a happy, safe 4th. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Scafidi.
I have nothing further tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steele.
Happy birthday, Mr. Barr.
Oh, thank you.
Have you been out in the sun, or are you still red from us, embarrassed from us?
Yeah, it's embarrassment.
Because your eyebrows are standing out really.
I don't spend a lot of money on tanning, so I'll be this way for a day or two. Thank you.
I have nothing else.
Thank you. Mr. Fury.
I don't know an anniversary song or what I've done it to. So I would like to thank Chris Campbell. I had a resident call and was very concerned with the entrance of Center Valley Park by Glenwood, and they did an outstanding job of taking the weeds, putting mulch, picking up the bushes, and I would like to thank him for his prompt attention. Happy 4th of July. Happy anniversary. I'm not going to sing again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have something?
Yeah, I will be playing in the McTiernan golf outing on the 6th. Mayor, you?
I will be there.
And I will be
Good.
And Maureen will be there.
I would think there's still room. I saw a thing on Facebook that they're still looking for players. It's a great golf outing. It's a fun time, and it's a great thing to support. Thanks.
Thank you. Mayor?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. So, Mr. Metropolis did give us a letter here and made a comment, and I think we handled one of them. The other one has got one more reading and a vote. And I just want to say the increase in the sewer rate was something that we've been looking at for the last 2 or 3 years. And with the 0.25%, even with the sewer rates, we're trying to look forward and be proactive. The sewer rates is not just to put us in line with other charging municipalities and or agencies. We've got some significant capital projects that are going to be coming up within our wastewater treatment plant. So that is us kind of looking forward and hoping to try to keep that enterprise fund is one of our few that teeter on being self-sustaining, and we want to keep it that way and not have to subsidize it from the general fund for capital projects. So that's why we're proposing this and trying to build up that particular account. Lastly, I was able to send off our 12-year-old boys to Cooperstown. I met them at Panera's and actually happened to be driving by when they were leaving to actually go out of town. And the cool part about Cooperstown now is they live stream the games, and so I got an email, and I actually clicked on it, was able to watch a part of the game, and the game I watched, our kids hit 6 home runs during that game, so it was kind of a cool thing to be able to watch Twinsburg represent in Cooperstown, and I wish them luck in the rest of their games.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
They've been live streaming that for a while.
I'm not as hip as you are in the baseball world, so.
I've been there a few times.
Yeah.
It's pretty
That's all I have.
exciting. Mr. Maestros?
Nothing, thank you.
Nothing. Shannon?
I actually do. The Rotary Club of Twinsburg will be doing their river run again this year for 3 weeks in July, Sunday the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd, starting at 10, going till 4, $15 a person, kayak, life jacket, paddle, and lunch after. So if you're interested, you can go to the Rotary's website, twinsburgrotary.com. And then the other thing is, in addition to the golf outing, there's also going to be a memorial service, memorial service for Josh at the monument on the anniversary on Friday the 13th at 8 p.m. and that's open to the public. So they're encouraging residents to come to that also. That's it.
Sarah?
I have nothing further.
You have
Thank
nothing,
you.
okay. Okay, I guess that's the end of it, so I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 9 o'clock. Do I have to give the exact time? 8:55, meeting adjourned.